Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto was told about the Uzumaki clan from the beginning. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for a new episode coming over Anime King 2, and I post a brand new episode over on Anime King 3. So go ahead and enjoy that guys. And if you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. Which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Naruto plays the game with Kurosaki, as the both of them got drunk. Well, she think that he was drunk, but Naruto was just fine, but still. Despite her state, she was able to keep all information to herself. But Naruto said that it would be good, a rather good relationship between them, given how bad the relationship was between Konoha and the Hidden Stone. Yes, this would be rather helpful, he told him. Jiraiya had made his way off. As the man did not come back, he told Naruto in a message that he wanted to meet him at Kumo, as he had a Jinchuriki for him to fight. As Naruto was rather pissed off at that, the man didn't bother to show up in person. But he made his way same way, as he was found by Orochimaru. As Orochimaru came to speak to him, rather gleeful at Naruto's turn. As the boy was wearing an armor that resembled armor from the past, a great man, Madara Uchiha. Orochimaru was quite interested to see Naruto's skills. As Sasuke came out, Sasuke looked at Naruto with narrow eyes, always making him feel like he was weaker one because he was always advancing. The both of them started to fight as Naruto showed no compassion, no care for Sasuke as their battle, destroyed the surrounding area. The both of them clashed as Sasuke had to quickly enter the stage 2 mark of the curse mode as Naruto was still normal, as he cut into Sasuke's wing. As Naruto seemed to be up in the battle, as Orochimaru stood there, Jiraiya ended up arriving on Gambunta's back, as Orochimaru used the opportunity to set off a chain of explosions to get away, as Jiraiya was just a clone though, as he told Naruto to make his way. With that, Naruto kept on walking until he was stopped by Itachi Uchiha. As Itachi was there, Itachi was watching the battle along, as they had a nice little chat. We then skipped to Uzu, Gorin. She had deserted Orochimaru some time ago, and now she was here as she brought Kimaru to a safe place, as she was one of the people that was designated to stop intruders from getting here, as Haku was also here as well, as she thought it was a girl at first, but it was a boy. The both of them made their way as Gorin has never met the Emperor before, as no one really knew what was going on here as Gorin made her way. She couldn't see his face but his voice. It didn't sound like she expected, he sounded young. And his hand was resting, as his head was resting right on his palm, as he gave them an order, which involves hearing. Once she left, she realized there was no way that the room was able to fit in there, as Haku told her that it was a space-time dimension, his own dimension. Once you enter the seal that you had on, you will be taken towards his conference room, where his throne was. But if you enter without the seal, you would just enter the throne room, not where he was. Well, the Uzumakis were the greatest when it comes towards Fuinjutsu, so she understood that. With that out of the way, as Sasuke was rather pissed off, Orochimaru might go against his, law and take Sasuke's body early because Sasuke think that he wasn't worth it. After all, if he can't beat Naruto by now, how the hell would he ever beat Itachi? As Naruto arrived towards Kumo, as he went to one of the training grounds, where he saw Yujito there. There was also a friend of hers with a rather large chest that would rival Snavy's, or probably close. As the girl looked up at Naruto and asked him if he was looking, he replied with a simple yes. After all, what reason was there to lie when she saw him? So yeah guys, was basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the place, check up yourself so you see begin this new episode. You were just staring, weren't you? The blonde asked, looking at Naruto. Yes, said Naruto. I was thinking, if my sensei ever saw you, he would probably find a way to migrate to this village, said Naruto. As he walked over, they didn't seem cautious of his footsteps, as he stood in front of them and smiled. Naruto Uzumaki, he said, Jinchuriki, of the Kyuubi. Yujito looked at him for a moment, before she spoke, the armor. Are you here for a battle? As Naruto ignored her and turned towards Samui. I know her, but I don't know you. If she is willing to indulge me, I might not get a chance afterwards. Samui, she said. A pleasure to meet you, Samui, said Naruto. Cool, she said. As Naruto smiled, he turned towards Yujito. Sorry about that, he said. I traveled to this village to test myself against a fully experienced Jinchuriki. I've been told that you're able to fully control the power of your Biju. Although I house the Kyuubi, I still cannot control most of its power. Even so, I would still like for you to indulge me. She stared at him for a long moment. The Kyuubi was the most powerful, but if he said he couldn't control it, that meant he might not be that all-powerful. Then again, power alone wasn't everything. Because she didn't believe that anyone could defeat B while he was using his Biju power. Well, I haven't tested myself against another Jinchuriki, aside from B. I don't see why not, she said. Naruto smiled as he jumped backwards. Then let us entertain ourselves to our hard content, he said. There are no rules, no, she said. He nodded. Please come at me with the intent to kill. I find it more satisfying to battle someone who wants to kill me. You need not take it easy on me. I house the Kyuubi. If you break my legs, it's fine. She grinned hearing those words. You're gonna regret those words, she said. Will you make me regret them, said Naruto. If you do that, I'll treat you to a meal every day, while I'm still around the village. I don't want to brag, but I'm quite the cook. You're offering to cook for me, she said. If you don't regret them, what do I have to do, she asked. Take me out tonight, said Naruto. Deal, she said. As Naruto pulled out his lightning blade and sped towards her, she pulled out a kunai and she rushed towards him as the kunai got surrounded with blue flames. He swung his sword towards her left shoulder in a horizontal slash. She twisted her kunai and blocked the swing. The flames burst slightly upon contact with his blade. She brought up her right foot and she aimed towards his shoulder as Naruto jumped back, avoiding the kick. She jumped, flipping the air as he shifted the kunai towards her left hand. The moment he touched down, she was already upon him, bringing the kunai down towards his throat. He lifted up his sword and slammed it right in her kunai. She felt it as his blade sliced right through it. Rasengan, said Naruto as a Rasengan formed in his hands. He launched it towards her, but she flashed away from it as the Rasengan smashed down and exploded as it created a small crater around him. She flashed in front of him as he crossed his arms in an X motion as her kick slammed into his guard, throwing him backwards. He flipped several times as he landed on his feet. She lowered herself to all fours as her claws, her nails extended as she moved with a burst of speed. But Naruto did not wait as he had his sword as he shot forward, slashing towards her. She slipped right on the ground, ducking as the blade passed right over her head. She retracted her claws as she flipped through hand signs. Flame explosion. She spat a small ball of flame that headed straight towards him. Wind style, great wind breakthrough, he said as he released a massive amount of wind around the area. As it collided with her flames, a chain explosion went off as her flames got enticed as it exploded violently. As Naruto had to leap away, create some distance between himself and the flames. The moment his feet touched the ground, he flashed in front of him at blinding speeds. He couldn't react quickly as she swiped her claw across his chest. There were sparks as it slashed across his armor. She twisted her other hand and brought it towards his face. He leaned back slightly as he watched the claws pass his face. Wind bullet, he said, as he formed chakra on the top of his index finger. As he flicked his finger, it slammed right in her chest, forcing her to slide back, but not causing too much damage. As Naruto moved, his feet already up, as his right foot slammed into her chest with wind chakra. She was sent sailing backwards as she ripped through the air like a bullet. She crashed down hard on the ground as she tried to get up, but she had to grip her chest as she coughed up blood. What the hell was that, she says. He walked towards her. Wing, it just knocked the air out of you, said Naruto. That was dangerous. It was like being hit by one of the Raikage rocket punches that was encased in lightning. A normal person would have suffered more damage. Nezumi Kidama, she said as she released a ball of blue flames that shot towards him. The balls split before it could reach him and fire off multiple projectiles. As Naruto flashed single hand sign, wind style, decapitating wind as he released hundreds of twisting blades that swallowed the entire area. The flames cut right through the bullets. But they just multiplied. He should have crushed them, he thought to himself, as the flame bullets came towards him at incredible speed. And it was too close as he brought his hand out, boom! As the area was hit as blue flames swallowed the entire area. But it was gone the next minute, as Naruto's arms that were exposed had slight burns over them. Yujito flashed in front of him, her hand transformed partially, as she slammed it right into him, throwing him back. She flashed above him as she smashed her fist right into him, slamming him right into the ground. She didn't stop as her large hand came down, smashing down on him once again. The collision caused the ground around him to shatter, but Naruto channeled the Kyuubi chakra to hold off her attack, as he did not receive any damage at all, but the ground had broken to pieces. She jumped away as she landed. As she watched Naruto got up, he held out his hand as a ball of crimson flames formed right in his palm. He allowed the flames to float in the air before he jumped, and kicked them right towards her, as they rocked through the air at blistering speed, as she leaped over it. But it then exploded behind her and threw her as she slammed right into the ground. She looked up as a ball of flame was coming towards her. She quickly summoned Manitoba's chakra, covering herself in dark blue chakra before the flame colliding with her, as all of the flaming balls exploded around her in a bright shower of flames. She burst out of the flames the next second, charging towards Naruto. Seeing her coming like that, Naruto summoned the fox chakra as his body changed in a second. 4 tails appeared behind him as he transformed into a miniature fox. As he folded his crimson hands just above his forehead, as her large punch came down on him, the powerful claw slammed right into his defense as the ground shattered around him. His tails twisted as they shot forward at blinding speeds. 2 of them ripped through her shoulders as she opened her mouth wide, while still above Naruto. A ball of flame formed as she fired it right at him before flashing away so she wouldn't get caught up in the explosion. When the flames died down, Naruto was standing there on all fours, in a sizable crater. He then lifted his head up to the sky as he started to create a Bichu bomb. Yujito quickly canceled her 2-tail form. Whoa, she said. That's a bit too far. But Naruto had already started and his jutsu was almost complete. He ate the small orb of condensed chakra. The ground below him shattered as the thing condensed. He then shot it up in the sky. He canceled his form as the thing exploded. Well, he said, looking up in the sky, that was dangerous. We should stop here, said Yujito. I'm afraid we'll just end up causing unwanted attention. I just felt that power. I'm afraid what kind of damage we might cause. I'd rather not have shinobis come to this side, she said. I guess that will do, said Naruto. Collateral damage cannot be avoided at all times, but a Biju power can do it rather easily. She smiled. You're really skilled. It became obvious early without transforming. I couldn't do anything. I've had time to train, said Naruto. What about our bet? Let us just call it even, she said. But I am still willing to dine with you, only if Samui joins us. Cool, said Naruto with a smile. Time skip. It was midnight as Naruto was sitting by the window, in the hotel room, alone in darkness. It was fine. He did this so many times, it became like a ritual. After all, sometime he didn't even notice the sun went down. He just sat here. How disappointing, said Jiraiya, as he appeared in the room. As Naruto glanced at the ceiling for a moment, before turning his head back towards the window. The night was truly a peaceful time, perhaps a bit of his favorite time. In the Hidden Leaf, it was his moment to be free, to feel like Konoha was off his back. What are you looking for, Sensei? Said Naruto. I thought I would see you getting some action, Jiraiya said, in a rather sad tone as he spoke. Like I would allow you to get that close. Sometimes it is best to know people, Sensei. Friends are not a bad thing to have around. Jiraiya frowned. I think you and I have a different definition of what a friend is. They are not the same thing, Jiraiya said. Jiraiya thought that he could get close at Naruto, as it was a side of Naruto that he completely blocked off. But he wasn't getting nowhere in no time. Well, that is your opinion, said Naruto. But getting to know people is a good thing. They might even not become your friends. But they can be someone that you connect with, said Naruto. But what would be the use of making connections in your part? Said Jiraiya. Who knows, said Naruto. Sometimes people do the most ridiculous things that you can't even begin to explain. This again, Jiraiya thought. What do you think of the Shinobi world, Naruto? As Naruto said nothing for a long minute, he just stared at the wall. He then finally turned back to the man. What does it matter what I think of this world, Sensei? He asked, in a curious tone. It matters. Your view of our world shape your ideal, your dreams, Jiraiya said, in a firm tone. Everyone has a thought, and everyone wants something. We all have duties to our village, but we still have dreams. Some shinobi dream nothing but to serve their village, said Naruto. The thought of Itachi popped in his mind at that moment. But to determine your dream, you have to have a view on the world around, I guess. And if you know these things, Jiraiya said, why do you have to ask why your views matter? My question was to you, Sensei, on a personal level, said Naruto. You need to know because I am your student. But most Sensei pass on their dreams to their students, to carry it out when they're gone, said Naruto. It was indeed true. He shared his dreams with the Hidden orphans. He was happy to hear that they were doing good. It saddened him greatly to hear that they died. Well, in our situation, it doesn't really look like you're doing what I want, said Jiraiya. You have your own goals, and although you seem interested in my dreams, you have not made any commitment. And I'm your sensei. I must know where you stand, said Jiraiya. If it's a wrong path, I need to be able to correct you. If the path is good, I need to be able to assist you as your sensei. I see. I have wondered, Jiraiya, but I still cannot form a conclusive view of the shinobi world. There's a lot of bad and good. Should I do something about it? Should I simply be loyal to my village and do what is best for my village? I'm afraid at the moment I cannot answer those questions. Naruto, if you need help with understanding something, please talk to me. I know you prefer to figure things out on your own, but you have friends, colleagues to help you in such situations, Jiraiya said. I have not been shy in asking questions, Jiraiya Sensei, but I have always decided on my own. It's true, I was close to the third, but he did not have the same influence on me like you had on your students. I love the old man because he loved me, but I formed my own ideas depending on how I saw things. Perhaps Jiraiya should have seen this as a red flag, a huge red flag, but he wanted there to be hope. There's nothing wrong with being independent, Naruto, but you have to be careful. You don't want to stir away too far. Without observing or listening to other people, your own thoughts can be clouded by your own mind. With my past, I'm afraid I cannot drift away from reality, Sensei. I know what hope and what false hope is. An illusion someone paint to live in glory. Tell me, why have you brought this up? Since I want to know what are your thoughts on Uzu. If the Uzumakis indeed revive and offer you an invitation, would you accept it? This question again Naruto sighed. Well, people had to be curious, with him being the only Uzumaki in the Hidden Leaf. And given his past, yes, they were curious. They were dying to know. Perhaps if some villagers knew about this, they would certainly wish that he go home. Most people in Konoha have forgotten about the clan. They did not even know where the symbol on their shinobi vest came from. And yet, they knew that your founding father, Hoshirama, was married to Mito. Maybe she was just Mito, and Uzumaki was nothing more than a name. Just a meaningless name. Something for them to ignore and be ignorant about. If they came now, I would reject the invitation, said Naruto, as he turned towards the window. Why? You are a proud Uzumaki. Anyone that look can tell that much, and you don't even hide it, Jiraiya said. Should I not be proud of my mother's name, Jiraiya? Because in all accounts, my last name should be Namikaze, isn't it? Jiraiya frowned, because Sarutobi wanted to separate Naruto's from Minato, because he was so young back then. The boy was given the last name Uzumaki. Yes, Jiraiya said. But my circumstances robbed me of that legacy, said Naruto. I should have inherited my father's legacy as his only child, but I did not. Perhaps if I had, I would have proud to be Namikaze, said Naruto. But Uzumaki was the first thing I heard. It was the first good news that the third told me. It was my clan, where my mother grew up. Something I should be proud of. Jiraiya cursed himself once again. Had he been a bit more responsible, he should have taken Naruto away from the village and raised him, and let him experience happiness out there, other than the fleeting happiness moments that hurt him so much in his past. As he clenched his fist, damn it. But he did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. He was too busy chasing women intel about Orochimaru. He regretted He regretted everything with a heavy heart, that he wasn't there for his godson, that he had been a failure. I understand, Jiraiya said, but why? Wouldn't you accept their invitation? Because, Sensei, if I came now, they wouldn't want me because I'm a Uzumaki. They would want me because I'm useful. What if they came when you were younger, Jiraiya asked. I would have jumped at the chance to go, because they would have wanted me because I was Uzumaki, and because you're my family, and it would be an escape from the hellhole that I was living in. But I'm not that miserable anymore. Jiraiya felt thankful that they did not come. He knew that was selfish of him. But he never voiced his thoughts. He kept them all to himself, knowing that if they did come, they would have taken Naruto away, and you'd have a different childhood. I will write to Tsunade and tell her your thoughts. She's really worried, you know, and she doesn't want to lose you. Naturally, you don't want to lose people you care for, said Naruto. Time skip. Why do we have to sneak out of Komo, said Naruto, as the both of them were already away from the village. As Naruto hoped that Jiraiya didn't piss off some people. Jiraiya simply shrugged. Force of habit, and I want to see if you had it in you. Had it in me, said Naruto. You know, I had to practice being invisible in the streets of Konoha, just to avoid the glares. It was an interesting experiment, and there was some failures every now and then. Successful, Jiraiya said. It was there, said Naruto, but as you know, I don't thought that much about my conquest. Jiraiya nodded. We should start talking about Fuinjutsu before you go back to Konoha. You know you're Uzumaki and you're truly proud of it. It wouldn't be too bad to know about sealing. You said that you know things. Practicing it out on the view should make you feel even prouder. I cannot disagree to that. When looking at current seals, I can say the standards have really dropped. Looking at most seals, I have the thought to say pathetic. Well, every village have something to excel in, and the Uzumaki's work was truly excel when it comes to Fuinjutsu. Their skills was just a bit too complex. Even though I call myself a Fuinjutsu master by Uzumaki standards, I am really nothing. No need to be bitter about it, said Naruto. Where to after the Hidden Stone? We will see. If information come around, we will probably head to the Hidden Rain or Kirin, said Jiraiya. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Tsunade hated herself for this, but there was no use. It didn't mean that she trusted him, but she had to use his services. Danzo's. If he did something he wasn't supposed to do, she would sack him. And he was not going to do as he pleased under her watch. Her sensei allowed it, and indulged the man, allowing him to do as he pleased, but she will not. What the hell is keeping that damn cripple, she said, as she looked towards Shizune. I don't know. Should I go search for him? Asked Shizune. A more fitting way would be to send Anbu to drag him, Tsunade thought, in amusement. But there was no need to go that far as he walked into her office, with that pale teen by his side. She glanced towards the teenage boy for a moment, before looking back at Danzo. He had sent a list of his operatives to her. She had studied the list, but she hadn't done anything about it. What do you know about Uzu, she asked, before Danzo could even mutter a word. That damn village, Danzo thought. If he was a Hokage, he would have already had people there to test the strength, to find out their current motivation. And if they were useful, they would be used. If they were being too troublesome, they would be destroyed. But he was not the Hokage. If you're referring to the current Uzu, not much. I do know that they mostly depend on the wave for their supplies though. Anything that cannot be made on the island, they get them from the Hidden Wave. I do suspect that they either control the country, or that they have a rather strong relationship with them. What do you mean by that, Tsunade? The Wave country had still sent its mission request to us, and nothing has changed in the way they handle things. Yes, nothing has changed, because they don't want to attract attention, said Danzo. Tsunade looked thoughtful. She never thought of investigating the Wave, because it was not a problem. The Wave has grown over the past couple of years. Someone was behind it, said Danzo. Seems that the people of Wave credit Uzu for their change. But it is not something that they openly talk about. But none of the mass of people there talk about it. But the man who acts like Daimyo of the Wave frequently visits Uzu. He goes alone, and he can't talk. Can't or won't, said Tsunade. Can't, said Danzo. They use a method that he would use on the operatives. But even if you threaten to kill off the man's family, he still couldn't talk. So you have tried something in the Wave, but there's nothing much, said Tsunade. Back to Uzu it is then. What are you planning, Danzo asked. I'm sure that you already know what he did to Hidden Stone spies. Danzo nodded and surprised that you were even able to tell that they were spies on the Hidden Stone. Unlike Shinobi's spies do not wear their allegiance for all to see. The only way to know is through interrogation. And that means they didn't reveal it by choice. Yes, said Danzo. So we cannot underestimate Uzu. Tsunade nodded. I have sent Jiraiya to the Hidden Stone to discover what Oniki's plan to do about this. But I want you to do as what you can do to find as much information about Uzo before we make a move. Danzo nodded. What of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Naruto. It is Naruto, said Tsunade firmly. He stared at her, she stared back at him. Yes. Naruto, he said. He's finished his training trip, and he will return into 2 to 3 months. That is all I'm saying to you. You should have no interest in him, she said. He is my shinobi and my problem, if he's a problem, she said. It becomes more than your problem when he can threaten the very security of this village, Danzo said, in a calm tone. You should know that there's not much about his childhood in our records, because Hiruzen made sure it was destroyed. I will tell you something you don't know. There was this suspicious moment where Hiruzen took Naruto to the village for 2 weeks. He said he was taking the boy to train him in secret. I tried to tail them, but I lost track of them. He did not say what training was about, or did Naruto came back with any improved skills. But if the boy is not a Fuinjutsu master, I don't know anything. And what do you mean by that, she asked. Hiruzen stonewalled all of my attempts to get close to the boy, and make sure I could not observe him. However, I did observe Hiruzen himself. He visited Naruto almost every day. Even if he just stayed for a couple of minutes, he'd go there. He collected Fuinjutsu scrolls, and he possibly handed them over to Naruto, and that was before he even joined the academy. Tsunade frowned. Jiraiya has never said anything about Naruto Fuinjutsu skills. A Jinchuriki that know the art of sealing wasn't going to please anyone. I see, said Tsunade. And him? As she looked towards Sai. For Naruto observation when he come back. And what makes you think I would agree to this? Team 7 is still short of one member, and he's suitable for the team. I will think about it. I expect results soon, Danzo. Once he was gone, Shizune spoke. Well, that was surprising. The third really did keep many things about Naruto himself, said Tsunade. It's almost like he didn't want anyone to find out. But Jiraiya has been with him for these years, and he still hasn't done anything to raise any suspicions. Yes, that does make it a bit hard to think that there's something that we don't know, said Shizune. Time skip. At the hidden stone. Halt! Jiraiya frowned at being stopped. He really didn't like going through this check. He was a legendary Toad Sage and get a pass to go anywhere he chose. This was the reason why he usually sneaked into the villages. The Raikage was not amused in his last attempt, but he had managed to joke it off without setting the man off. Nevertheless, he was given days in the village, and he was told that he would be watched. Jiraiya, he said to the guards, this is my apprentice, and we came here to speak to the Teshikage. Jiraiya-sama, one of the guards said. He then turned to face Naruto, his eyes sharpened. Naruto Uzumaki, he said. As Naruto merely nodded, as he looked away, as he felt the wind, it was different from the sand. The wind had a different vibe to it. Within Kumo, there was a bit of static in the air, and it made him rather uncomfortable. The guard looked a bit ticked off that Naruto simply turned his head, ignoring him now. Don't mind him, Jiraiya said with a smile. As he took out the papers, we would find the way ourselves, he said. The Teshikage is waiting for you. We insist that we take you there. We'll walk, said Jiraiya. No, we must insist that we take you there. And I also insist that we walk, Jiraiya said, as he narrowed his eyes towards the man. They looked at each other for a few seconds. Fine. But I will escort you. I can live with that, Jiraiya said, as he walked in a steady pace, instead of being brought towards Teshikage's office. As Jiraiya glanced around, you do realize when these people see blonde hair, blue eyes, they think of the Furotokage, said Naruto, as he was getting curious looks from all around. It is bound to happen sooner or later, said Jiraiya. Besides, this is a test. There is no need for a test, said Naruto. There is no contempt. Perhaps from only those who lost their loved one in the war. It would be just like the Kyuubi rampage. It bothered Jiraiya that Naruto did not care about his past. He would never tell Naruto to cry about it or feel sad, but there was just nothing when he spoke about it. Maybe, Jiraiya said. But it is good to know, we know where we stand. And we should be able to tell if there are enemies to look out for. You're not wrong, said Naruto as he went silent, as they were led towards the tower. As Jiraiya looked over at him, respond politely. If they ask you about a question about Uso or Minato, we don't want to start a war back with the Hidden Stone. Do I look stupid to you? Asked Naruto. Well, you're many things, even disrespectful to your sensei. But you're not stupid. Good, said Naruto as they entered the office. Oniki didn't offer them any smile as they appeared before him. The only reason why he accepted this was because he thought he could get some information regarding Uzo. His eyes glanced towards Blonde as he caught the Uzumaki symbol displayed proudly. It is rather bold if you bring the Uzumaki here when they're beginning to start a problem, Oniki said, looking at Jiraiya. Jiraiya shrugged with a bit of carelessness. Naruto is my student, and a Leaf Shinobi. He has no connection to Uzo. But he's a Uzumaki. I did not deny that. Jiraiya said in a hardened tone. But Naruto is not the reason why I came here. But his clan is, Oniki said before Jiraiya could finish. Yes, Jiraiya said, I Naruto. The blonde looked indifferent as always. At least he was a bit thankful for it this time around. We know what they did to your spies, said Jiraiya. Everyone seemed to know, said Oniki. As he glanced at Naruto once more, that look was starting to piss him off. But why was there Uzumaki just running around, while the Uzumaki clan was rebuilding? If he was from the Hidden Stone, Oniki would never trust him, especially since he had the Uzumaki symbol proudly displayed on his chest. No, he wouldn't trust him at all. Before its destruction, Konoha was allied to Uzu. Do you have contact in the nation? Jiraiya shook his head. We're in the dark about it like everyone else. We don't know what is going on in the village. You have a Uzumaki with you, you could just send him to find out. You wouldn't have a problem with that, would you? Oniki said. It would be dangerous because we don't know anything. And Naruto is a bit too important for Konoha to lose him. Well, if you don't have anything, and you can't even bother to use your asset to get any information, why are you even here? The Leaf is interested in two things. What do you plan to do about Uzu and your connection to the Akatsuki? I plan to determine if Uzu is a threat. If so, it will be destroyed. As for my relationship with the Akatsuki, that is none of your business, said Oniki. Jiraiya frowned at that. He should have known that Oniki would say something like that about Uzu. And that was a problem because Konoha was still technically allied to Uzu. If the stone was going to do something, without being provoked, Konoha might be forced to step in. The first time they did nothing while Uzu was being destroyed. They couldn't just sit by the second time. The village that depended on Leaf protections would stray away from them. Konoha would lose friends if they did nothing to protect Uzu. And what do you have to say about that, Uzumaki? Oniki asked. Nothing really, said Naruto. Oh, I thought you would say that you are someone who would fight for your clan. He would have marked the boy for someone who should be killed if he had said that. Tsuchikage-sama, I want to... Naruto was cut off as the door burst open. As Kurosaki walked over and grabbed Naruto and twisted him around. You bastard! Naruto smiled. It is good to see you too, Kurosaki. She glared as she dragged him out of the office. Oniki sat where he was, speechless. Do they know each other? I think they met a couple months ago. As Oniki went silent. I hope there's nothing going on there, Jiraiya, he said, in a rather dangerous tone. But Jiraiya simply shrugged it off. If the young ones find love, it is up to us to guide them in their loving nature. I hope you heard me, Jiraiya. I am not losing my granddaughter to Konoha. You have that little faith in her. You think she would leave the Hidden Stone for love? Jiraiya asked. Let us get back to the subject at hand, Tsuchikage-sama. He would not allow Oniki to dismiss him like that when he had clear intentions of destroying another village. I really don't know what you want to talk about, Jiraiya. If you have nothing to give, I have nothing further to discuss with you. You have indeed said that, but I'm concerned about the state of affairs in the Elemental Nation. That aside, do you really think Uzu would have the power to invade the Hidden Stone? Oniki shook his head. They do not. They never did. Despite their power, they didn't have the number to threaten any village with invasions. But that is not the point. If Uzu seek revenge, even though it doesn't have the power to attack us, we will do something about it. And if it remains locked down, Jiraiya asks, we will need to see what is going on in there. What do you know? Asked Oniki. Maybe they're busy building their military strength. Or maybe they just want to keep out people who have bad intentions against them. People who believe they have the right to think who dies and who lives. Watch what you say, Jiraiya-san, said Oniki, his eyes sharpening. I'm just telling it like it is. Don't forget, Konoha is still technically allied to Uzu. If they ask for help, we will have to respond to their requests. Didn't you say you have no relationship with the current Uzu? Jiraiya nodded, but we're making an arrangement to see where the current leader stands. If we determine that they are a lost generation, we will have to do something. But if they don't wish to invade anyone, and they just want to be left alone, we cannot stand by and watch them get attacked once again. So you're saying that Konoha will be willing to fight Hidden Stone? Oniki laughed. In the last war, we outnumbered you. It took the efforts of the fort to put the war to an end. Years ago, you suffered greatly in the Kyuubi's rampage. You have lost the sights of the 3rd, the 4th, and Orochimaru since we last fought. Do you think you can stand in our way? Jiraiya looked at the man sternly. That was a threat. What exactly are you saying? Asked Jiraiya. If we determine that Uzu is a threat, we will destroy it and anyone that gets in our way. The current Leaf Village does not threaten me. I see, said Jiraiya. I really want you to consider things. An unnecessary war would just cause bloodshed. You should know better than anyone that war causes pain on both sides. Even if you win, you will lose something. I don't need a lecture about war from you, said Oniki as he shrugged. Meanwhile, Once out of the office, she dragged Naruto straight towards the Kishigage's tower. Sylvelant had a thing about gossiping, and so did Shinobi's. And if she was seen with him, there would be a lot of gossips. Not that she paid attention to it anyway. She wanted to beat the crap out of him, as he got her drunk and then he just vanished. She had searched the town looking for him, but the bastard was gone. She had been afraid when she woke up in the morning. Had something happened to her? Had he not touched her? Relief had washed over her when she realized that she was perfectly fine. It was strange for someone who's acting like a pervert, and her in that drunken state. Why wouldn't he? It wasn't that she wanted to do anything. Getting drunk hadn't been a part of the plan. She was never gonna drink again. Not like that. You disappear without a word, she said. I am here now, said Naruto, with a simple shrug. It would have been painful if I had taken advantage of you after getting you drunk. But despite everything, I have some moral integrity. She snorted. What do morals have to do with being a shinobi? Shinobis are still people, you are Kunoichi. It doesn't mean that you must lose all sense of right and wrong because of that. You sound like an idealist, she said. But you got me drunk. I did, but that was because you thought you could get me drunk and get information out of me. If you had worked on your seduction skills, I might have spilled. I do have that weakness, he said. I don't have any seduction skills, she said. I was certain all expert jonins who work undercover had that skill. But then again, you aren't that type. Well, you were too confident in your ability to lie. I didn't know that you were that good, after drinking so much. It did sound like you knew about me, she said. Then again, I should have known when you would call me by name. It happened, said Naruto. Seems like you never told your grandfather about your encounter. I couldn't tell him. It was embarrassing, she said. Naruto laughed. I hope my sensei doesn't mention it by mistake, he said with a smile. The old man wouldn't even think twice before he put me in a leash for a couple more years. With how things are, I shouldn't even be talking to you. It might cause some more problem. Then why are you talking to me, said Naruto. I couldn't just ignore you after our last encounter, she said. Naruto shrugged. It is not like we share a bed. And the next morning I decided to make a run for it. Think of this as a chance to get closer to the enemy. She narrowed her eyes. Are you an enemy? What if I am, said Naruto. I would kill you now, she said. All enemies of Hidden Stone must be dealt with. Well, with those terms, even if I was an enemy, I wouldn't have told you, said Naruto. If it wasn't because you were Leaf Shinobi, I would use other means to get you to talk, she said. Although you're still ranked as a genin, your relationship with a Sannin is rather troublesome. If you were ordinary, I wouldn't have cared. Spoken like a villain, said Naruto as he watched her. She was willing to do anything, as he saw the problem, to make sure her village interests. She was willing to stab anyone in the back, crush anyone else to make sure that the village grew. She shrugged. I am a Kunoichi of the stone. It is my duty to protect it. I wouldn't be doing a good service if I allow a known threat to walk free. Naruto shook his head, overzealous, he said. But for now you're not grabbing me by the throat, because you don't want to be the one to start a war with Konoha. She nodded. But I thought you were going to become my friend to get to know me, to see if I was an enemy you need to kill, or a friend you can get better acquainted with. She went silent for a couple of moments. I never thought about that, she said after a while. I didn't think that you were serious. You could have been lying even. You really can't trust as Shinobi says. Well, you can't trust a Kunoichi either, said Naruto. You continuously lie with a straight face. I was honest with you, and even treat you well, after you got drunk. Do not try to make me feel bad for you, she said. I'm just stating the obvious, said Naruto. It is up to you. How you take that or what you do with it. As he turned. Until then, as he started to walk. Wait, she said, as she grabbed him. She cursed herself for sounding so desperate as she said that word. As she snapped back in focus, she would not look desperate. As a smile was on Naruto's face, his back turned to her. Time skip. Here. The Hidden Mist is former home. That was rich and filled with bloodlines that were wiped out. As Haku glanced around, this is where Zabuza had taken from. As a past that he was able to escape from by the help of his former master. Haku did really miss the man. He had died, being useful, but he was alive again. Someone had been sacrificed for him to return back to life, and he had been shown his master actions upon being shouted at by Naruto. Oh, what a good person Naruto was. On the outside it seems. Deep inside, even back then, it was a mystery. But everyone seemed to be clueless about it. But this was a second chance to live after everything he's been through. A second chance to make something out of his life. But he had another master now. The Emperor. The person that gave him this second life. You really look like you're lost in thought, Gorin said. They were being escorted towards the Mizukage Tower by two shinobis, and Haku had been quiet the entire time. Haku smiled softly. I was just thinking about the past, he said. Past? Gorin said as she frowned at that. Her past was with Orochimaru, with that sadistic bastard. She smiled bitterly. She was like him in that regard, wasn't she? In any case, she left him. She left him. Yukimaru was the reason. Perhaps it was the guilt of what she did. But she never thought that she would be able to experience guilt. But she grew attached. Orochimaru knew that it would happen. She was no longer needed though he found a better host. Yours was a roller coaster, Haku said. I don't know much about yours. You will have time to learn a lot about my past. When we work together. What? I'm being moved from my post, she asked. Not necessarily. But you will take on less responsibilities. You'll be doing something else. There are still busy fixing up everything on their part. And some of them are still busy training. Once that is done, they will take over. So, what am I gonna do, she asked. Work closely with His Majesty, Haku said. We will be his guards when you travel outside of Ozu. What of those two, she asked, speaking about two people at the village. Oh, those two, Haku said. Their jobs is not to protect the Majesty. They have other roles. As he looked around, I actually came from this village, he said. But I left when I was younger. It was a long time ago. Is that one of the reasons why you were sent? Gorin asked. Likely, Haku said as he looked around. I'm going to be the representative and you'll be my guard. Don't forget you still have that mission, Haku said. It's gonna be difficult while we're being watched like this. And we have to leave before the day ends, Gorin said that round. Well, we can't be away from Ozu for a long time. We will find a way to make things work. We can't go back home without any result. Gorin really hoped that failure wasn't treated with death. She hated that kind of thought. But she was told that she wasn't supposed to punish anyone for failing to do their jobs. It was part of the job and no one had to die for failing. They just had to learn from their failure. But if they continued to fail, they would be removed from the department and placed at another. As they arrived towards the Mizukage's office, she was used to these kind of things. At least, Haku would be the one talking. She was the one there to get what you want by using brute force. She didn't do diplomatic talks at all. Mei looked up as the two people from the Hidden Whirlpool entered her office. She was certainly curious how they were going to handle things. That aside, this was the first time she was dealing with anyone from the nation since its survival. She also knew that they never send their people outside to handle things. The Wave always did that. But they never admit that it was for Ozu. Never. As she looked at the capable shinobis in front of her, Haku smiled and greeted the woman. Hello, Ms. Kage-sama, he said. I am Haku Yuki, representative of the Emperor of Ozu. This is my comrade, Gorin. She's acting as my guard. Hold on, said Mei. Did you just say Yuki? Are you from the Yuki clan? Yes, I was born in this village. But after my clan was killed, I was forced to flee. Admittedly, I almost died as well, but I was saved. Who would have thought a member of Yuki clan would be alive right now? And not to mention wearing the headband for Ozu. No, she had someone from her village allied another nation, and he just admitted like that without hesitating. That was perhaps the most disturbing part. They had no records of him, so he probably was just a civilian by the time he left the village. She frowned at the thought if only she had found him first. I see, said Mei. You don't mind if we talk alone, would you? Said Haku. No, said Mei. I'll be taking a walk around the village, if possible. I would like to have someone show me around, said Gorin. The guard will show you around, said Mei, as she was left alone with the handsome Haku. Thank you, Haku said. I'm surprised that the Emperor did not come here himself. And I'm surprised that you came here yourself. The Wave has always been a nation that we negotiate with, said Mei. She knew the past, as her past leaders had provided ships. They helped in the destruction of Ozu. And no one knew what Ozu was up to. Perhaps that is the reason why Oniki sent her a message to ask her if she knew, or if Kiri had made contact, or if Ozu made contact with them. It was likely that Oniki was plotting the destruction if Ozu was the enemy, as she didn't want to think that Ozu was out for blood. That would just cause more unnecessary bloodshed that they couldn't afford at the moment. The Land of Water actions has been troubling. They do threaten Ozu. That is why we came here. We're also thinking that some actions are being motivated by our existence, Haku said. Mei shook her head. I don't know what Daimyo's thinking. We don't get along all that well. But we're trying. I think this has to do with survival, more than anything sinister. The Wave country is growing at a faster rate, more than anyone would have thought. It is taking land of water, some of the economic interests. For our own survival, we have to take measures to make sure our own future is secure. Haku smiled, as he seemed relieved more than anything. I'm glad. May raised an eyebrow. Glad? Haku nodded. I'm glad that it's something that can be resolved in simple matters. The wave and the land of water has no deals, but you do trade. I understand you don't know what the daimyo is thinking, but I'm glad you have no bad intentions against the wave or Uzu. Yes, Haku said. And if I had bad intentions, she asked, it would have made things a bit complicated. I have a question though, Haku said. Do you always do what the daimyo want you to do? I can't answer that question, she said. I understand, he said. Never mind what the daimyo is doing. We want to form trade deal with Kira. It will be mutual, beneficial. We are in a bit of complication right now, and we're a small nation. We don't want to get into disputes. We would rather that we just form an agreement. Mei stared at Haku for a long minute. He was asking to do things that the lord of this country was not doing. It would be like her going up against the feudal lord. That is why he asked her if they always did what the lord wanted them to do. What kind of trade deal are we talking about, she asked. It is an agreement which we play by certain rules, said Haku. This agreement can help us create an environment which we rule over the seas in a peaceful manner. You have your territory, we have ours. If we want to come to yours, we have to pay a fee for our agreement. If someone wants to buy something, we can sell it to you for a good price, and you sell it to your customer. We don't want a situation where you're stealing our customers, and we're stealing yours. That is a large suggestion that will take time, said Mei. And what if you break the agreement? You have the military might to take action, said Haku. And what if we break it, asked Mei. We have our methods. We can discuss the broad tale and what it entails. The wave will also conclude things. Mei shook her head. I'm not signing anything with the wave. I'm talking to Uzu right now, am I not? Then my agreement is not with the wave, but Uzu. Haku looked thoughtful for a moment. He could see what she was trying to do, a relationship between the two nations. But the decision was not for him to make. I will have to consult the people back home to see what they have to say. You have to understand that things stand. We have no formal connection with any other hidden village. To break away from that changed everything for us. And only the Emperor can make that decision. Well, I understand, but that's the only way written. An agreement with me, she said. Haku nodded. Are you still willing to discuss our terms? Yes, Mei said. But I will not agree to anything. As Haku simply nodded. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto The Ultimate Nature Bloodline over on Animaking 3. And enjoy that, guys. And if you're new, yes, you heard everything correctly. I do have 3 channels, Animaking, Animaking 2, Animaking 3, which I post What If every single day on for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Animaking family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying and talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.